All right, you mentioned Alabama going into the state of Louisiana to pull out some talent. We now have Dan Davis from and the Valley Shook on the line, who LSU themselves, not a bad signing day whatsoever when you look at the level of athlete that they're able to recruit. Dan, how are you feeling on signing day thus far? Are you happy with the haul that Les Miles has put together?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a good day. I'd say even 3 weeks ago, the class wasn't looking as strong. It seemed like momentum was kind of dying out with Chavis leaving and, Brick Haley's situation being up in the air, not having a defensive coordinator.
Right.
And, once we get Steele and Ozier on, it seems like the momentum just flipped right back on. Pull a major shocker getting Chidi Valentine Okiki and closing out on Arden Key. So I think it was a really strong finish. That's going to put LSU right there, either in the top 5 or close to it.
Now we're looking at some of the names. Who do you think can come in right away? Obviously, they put together an enormous class last season on both sides of the ball. What are some of the names? Obviously, Dante Jackson, a relatively recent commit. Kevin Tolliver, extremely talented, but they're so young and talented already. So who breaks through, whether it's as like a nickel, as a rotation guy, or on special teams?
I think Tolliver has a great chance because he's already on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And, the number 2 cornerback spot is up for grabs with Jalen Collins going to the NFL and losing Rashard Robinson. So I think we'll have a great chance to, get in there, mix it up, and impress Steele right away. And he's obviously got some competition because he's still got high-ranked guys like Ed Paris from last year that are going to be vying for it too. But Tolliver is the guy that sticks out to me. Tehima, too, at guard, because we have a opening at guard, and he's got natural size and strength, and if he comes in shape, he could be vying for a starting spot.
All right, and when you look at what they were able to accomplish in terms of addressing specific needs or areas where they've needed to improve, are there groups? Obviously, LSU focusing on running back, they focus on corner. It seems every year they do. But you mentioned the interior, the offensive line. Are you good? Are you happy with the depth of this class for future needs?
Yeah, I mean, they nailed the offensive line, just hit it out of the park. They got 5 guys, and all of them are, really good talents. The lowest ranked guy is probably a really high-ranked 3-star that the staff got to see a lot in person and liked. So you got to feel good about that if you're an LSU fan. I think the big miss was the linebacker core. They struck out on Leo Lewis this morning, didn't get any other guys, and the depth chart looks relatively thin there. So if there's a big miss in the signing class, it's definitely the linebackers.
All right, Dan, thank you very much for your time. Another fan base that should be pretty happy, all things considered, with their haul this year. Who jumps out to you? He mentioned Tolliver. Jackson's the recent commit. State of Louisiana, obviously, per capita, I think you mentioned at some point the highest number of blue chips of any state in the country. So are you happy with what you've seen these guys?
Yeah.
Who, to your eyes, is that guy?
I've seen most all their kids in person this year. It's a very physically impressive class. I mean, Tehama, the guard, is really huge. Tyron Johnson is a very polished receiver. Kevin Tolliver, though, is probably their top commit, and he's a very, I don't want to use the word polished again, but I will.
What makes him so good?
He works at his craft. He has good transitions in and out of his breaks. He mirrors well. He's also really physical. I once saw him at a 7-on-7 event actually pancake press this kid into a ground, and then the ref threatened to toss him, which was pretty funny in a 7-on-7 event. But he has good intensity, and I think when he's challenged, he really rises to the occasion. He's one of the top corners in the country.
Yeah, a little bit surprising, and maybe it had to do with the linebacking sort of misses with John Chavis leaving. They've been running that 4-2-5, so that's something to pay attention to on the field for LSU in the coming years. But yes, when you look at defensive backs with their recent history of Claiborne, with Honey Badger, with Patrick Peterson, you can recruit anybody in the South and say, look what we're going to do for your career at LSU. So totally makes sense, and they've put themselves in a good position. They still need a quarterback.